It's the 90th minute and the whole stadium is holding its breath. One kick decides everything. A nation's hopes balanced on a single ball, a single keeper, a single sweep of a referee's arm. You've watched it 100 times. The walk to the spot, the silence, the roar or the heartbreak that follows. It feels eternal, like it has always been the way football settles its biggest nights. But the real story is far stranger than the highlight reel. The penalty shootout you're watching wasn't always part of the game. For most of football's history, there was no shootout at all. When two teams drew a knockout match and neither could break the deadlock, the game wasn't decided by skill or nerve or courage. It was decided by chance, a coin, a drawing of lots, sometimes quite literally a colored disc pulled blind from a bag. Think about that for a moment. A World Cup quarterfinal, a continental final, decades of preparation, the dreams of an entire country, the careers of 22 men. And it could all come down to which side of a coin landed face up. That is not a story football likes to tell about itself. But it is the truth, and it shaped the game far more than you've ever been told. Go back to 1968. The European Championship semi-final between Italy and the Soviet Union ends scoreless after extra time. There are no penalties to fall back on. So the captains are called to the center of the pitch, and an official produces a coin. Italy's captain Giacinto Facchetti calls it. The coin lands his way. Italy advanced to the final, which they go on to win on home soil. The Soviet players walk off having lost nothing on the pitch and everything to gravity. Imagine being one of those players. You did not concede. You were not outplayed. You simply guessed wrong on a metal disc. This was not a rare freak event. It was the system. Across Europe and beyond, drawn knockout matches were routinely settled by lot. Replays were the more honorable option, scheduling a whole second match days later. But replays were expensive, exhausting, and often impossible inside the tight calendar of a major tournament. So the coin became football's quiet, embarrassing secret. A sport built on merit, deciding its grandest moments by luck. And here is the part most fans never learn. Nobody at the very top of football set out to fix this. The idea that would eventually save the game from itself didn't come from a committee. It came from frustration. From a handful of people who watched brilliant teams eliminated by chance and decided it was simply not good enough. The man most often credited is a German referee named Karl Wald. In the late 1960s, Wald was watching Bavarian football and grew sick of seeing cup ties decided by the toss. His proposal was almost absurdly simple. If a match is level after extra time, let each team take a series of penalty kicks. 5 each. Best of 5. If still level, sudden death, one kick at a time until one side blinks. It sounds obvious now. It sounds like it must have always existed. But when Wald first brought it to the Bavarian football authorities, it was rejected. Too radical. Too strange. Why change something just because it was unfair? Wald did not give up. He lobbied. He pushed. He brought the idea back again and again, until in 1970 the Bavarian Federation finally agreed to adopt it. From there, the idea climbed. To the German National Federation, to UEFA, to FIFA. Within a few short years, the penalty shootout went from a rejected oddity in regional German football to the way the entire planet would settle its most important matches. But why did it spread so fast? Why did football, a sport famously resistant to change, suddenly embrace this one? Because the alternative had become unbearable. Television was exploding. Audiences were global. And the image of a World Cup or a European final ending with two captains flipping a coin was, in the age of the camera, a humiliation the sport could no longer hide. Football needed drama, yes. But it also needed to look like it was deciding things on the field. The shootout did both. It kept the result on the pitch. And it delivered the most unbearably tense theater the game had ever produced. The first major tournament final ever decided by a shootout came in 1976. The European Championship final, Czechoslovakia against West Germany. The Germans were the reigning world champions, packed with stars, the team nobody wanted to face. The match finished 2-2. And so, for the first time on this stage, it went to penalties. You probably know what happened next, even if you don't know you know it. Czechoslovakia scored their first 4. West Germany scored their first 3. Then Uli Hoeneß stepped up for Germany and blasted his penalty high over the bar into the night. That left one man, Antonin Panenka. The Czech midfielder placed the ball on the spot, took his run-up, and instead of smashing it, he did something nobody had ever dared to do in a moment that size. He chipped it softly, down the middle, A gentle, floating, almost mocking little dink as the German keeper dived away to nothing. It went in. Czechoslovakia were champions of Europe. And a new word entered the language of football forever. The Panenka, a penalty so audacious it could only have been born in the pressure cooker that the shootout created. Stop and think about what that means. The shootout didn't just settle matches. It invented an entirely new genre of footballing courage, the dink. The stutter, the keeper's mind games, the dance on the line, the long lonely walk from the halfway circle. None of it existed before. The game grew a whole new vocabulary of heroism and heartbreak, all because a German referee refused to accept a coin toss. And yet the shootout has never stopped being controversial. Critics have always called it a lottery dressed up as a contest. They point out that the team with more skill over 90 minutes can still lose to the team with steadier nerves over 5 kicks. They're not entirely wrong. But here is the counterintuitive truth that the data quietly reveals. The shootout is not random. Not the way a coin is random. Study enough of them and patterns emerge. Teams that go first win more often than teams that go second, because the pressure of always chasing wears the second team down. Players who take a longer pause before striking tend to score more than those who rush. Keepers who stay central and react late stop more than those who guess and dive early. Goalkeepers who make themselves look bigger, who delay, who stare, who plant a seed of doubt, win the psychological battle before the ball is even struck. The shootout is a test of nerve, preparation, and mind. A coin has none of those. The shootout only looks like luck. Underneath, it is a brutal, measurable contest of who can hold themselves together when everything is on the line. Which is exactly why some nations seem cursed by it. You know the story. England, for a generation, could not win a shootout to save their lives. Italia 90, Euro 96. World Cup after World Cup, the same walk, the same miss, the same despair. It became a national psychological wound, talked about as if it were destiny. But it wasn't destiny. It was practice or the lack of it. When England finally started treating the shootout as a skill to be trained rather than a curse to be endured, studying angles, rehearsing the walk, choosing takers by temperament rather than reputation, the curse began to lift. Because it was never a curse. It was a coin toss they had simply learned to win. So the next time you watch a shootout, watch it differently. Watch the keeper's eyes. Watch which captain wins the toss to choose who goes first, and notice that even now, a coin still decides that one small thing. Watch the taker's pause. Watch the way an entire nation leans forward as one body, because deep down everyone knows this isn't really chance anymore. It's the purest test the game has ever built. It's the 90th minute and the whole stadium is holding its breath. One kick decides everything. But it isn't a coin in the air this time, and it never will be again, because a referee nobody remembers refused to let the greatest game on earth be decided by anything less than the nerve of the men who play it.